Background. We all know of the Cretaceous-Paleogene mass extinction event and how it wiped out a massive chunk of life on Earth. But were there any dinosaur survivors? That's what we'll be talking about today, as we go back in time to look at the downfall of the Earth's reptilian overlords and the true extent of their demise. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. About 66 million years ago, during the Cretaceous period, the world was a very different place. Mammals were emerging, though they were all pretty tiny. Antarctica was covered in dense vegetation and forests, and dinosaurs ruled the world. These ancient reptiles dominated all the domains: land, sea, and sky, and had a global distribution spanning from the Americas to Africa, Eurasia, and Oceania. Oh, and the aforementioned Antarctica too. Dinosaurs existed in intricate ecosystems where different species filled different niches. You had the herbivorous dinosaurs like Ankylosaurus, Triceratops, and a number of enormous long-necked sauropods. These vegetarians were more than catered to by the lush forests and rich plant life of their era. Of course, where there are plant-eating herbivores, there are usually meat-loving carnivores. The Cretaceous was no exception, with a vast range of hunters and scavengers constantly on the prowl for flesh. Notable examples include the Spinosaurus, Velociraptor, and Carnotaurus. We also can't forget the legendary Tyrannosaurs, a group which included the world's biggest land carnivore ever, Tyrannosaurus rex. In the sea, there were massive marine dinosaurs like the mosasaurs, plesiosaurs, and ichthyosaurs. Crocodiliform creatures, which are the ancestors of modern crocodiles and alligators, were also abundant in both salt and freshwater environments. The skies belonged to the pterosaurs, armed with unrivaled vantage points and menacing beaks. Alongside them, ancient bird ancestors known as avian dinosaurs were also on the scene. In such a landscape, very few things could threaten the rule of the dinosaurs, who had diversified into well over 1,000 species. The mammals of the time were minor rodent-like creatures that posed no threat to these titans, and humans were still a long way off. The only thing that could displace dinosaurs from their throne would be some sort of huge, Thanos-style extinction event. Unfortunately for our now fossilized friends, such an event came, and like Thanos, it came from outer space. Mass extinction. At the end of the Cretaceous period, which was also the end of the Mesozoic era, the world was changed forever when an asteroid about 6 to 9 miles wide crashed into what is now known as the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. The massive space rock hit the planet at an estimated 12 miles per second, about 3 times faster than the fastest rockets ever made, and the effects of the impact were like dropping 10 billion Hiroshima-like nuclear bombs. Evidence for the asteroid theory is found in rocks all over the world. Many terrestrial and marine rocks have been found to have thin sediment layers with exceptionally high levels of iridium. What's the big deal, you ask? Well, iridium is a metal that is quite rare here on Earth. However, it is much more abundant in asteroids and other space rocks. Putting 2 and 2 together, it is most likely that a massive asteroid hit the Earth and splattered pieces of its iridium-rich self all over the globe. Fields like paleontology and geology are our best tools for understanding events, environments, and organisms from a time long before history. So, how did a 9-mile-wide asteroid bring an end to all the dinosaurs on all the continents? Well, in several ways. Naturally, the first way would have been through direct impact. A rock that size doubtlessly hit a good number of fish and other marine life at the actual impact site. Marine dinosaurs were likely part of that unfortunate number. However, the direct impact, though destructive, was nowhere near as devastating as the asteroid's secondary effects. Animals near the coast, especially in the Americas, would have been hit by extreme tsunamis and tidal waves. Drowning, habitat loss, loss of offspring and nests were the most common issues for coastal dinosaurs. Of course, as you know, tsunamis are often the result of earthquakes. The force of the asteroid could very well have disturbed already precariously positioned fault lines, triggering massive earth tremors and quakes that would have been destructive even in inland areas. The sheer force of the asteroid also caused overland blast waves that wiped out many creatures and plants that bore their brunt directly. The closer you were to the crash site, the likelier you were to get hit by blast waves and die. Next were the forest fires. We all know of the devastation even a small wildfire can wreak upon ecosystems. However, the fires caused by the asteroid were anything but small. In fact, nearly 70% of the world's and jungles burned. With these forests, countless plants, plant-loving herbivores, and herbivore-loving carnivores burned too. Remember the near-global distribution of iridium we spoke of earlier? Well, that was caused by the millions upon billions upon trillions of asteroid and Earth material flung up into the atmosphere. Some of this material included scorching hot rocks that fell back to Earth at lightning speed, causing fires and hitting countless animals. En masse, these rocks also raised atmospheric temperatures to astronomical levels, and many flora and fauna roasted where they stood. Some of it fell back more slowly, as thick ash that could blot out the sun. In fact, for a good chunk of the world, the sun was entirely hidden by ash for over a year. This ultimately impeded plant and plankton photosynthesis, which also had a devastating effect on animals that fed on plants and plankton. Then there was the toxicity of all these materials and gases in the air. Not only did animals choke, but some of these nasty gases mixed with clouds to form acid rain, wreaking further devastation on food sources. Of course, we also cannot forget why blocking out the sun and dropping temperatures are bad for reptiles especially. Like modern crocodiles, lizards and snakes, dinosaurs were ectothermic, aka cold-blooded. This means they had to regulate their body heat by changing their surroundings. If they got too hot, they would find shade or go for a swim, and if they got too cold, they would bask in the sun. With no sun, this thermal regulation was incredibly difficult, and death followed. All in all, the asteroid crash, known as the KT extinction event or Dino D-Day, was a pretty rough occurrence that took out nearly 3/4 of all life on Earth. Survivors. According to scientists, Dino D-Day was the most violent and abrupt mass extinction event of all time, and by quite a distance. However, the common belief that all dinosaurs died and went extinct at the same time is not true. For starters, it is only non-avian dinosaurs that were completely wiped out. The fact that we have birds today shows that some avian dinosaurs found a way through the horror. These early birds probably survived because of their relatively small sizes and, perhaps more crucially, their warm-bloodedness. Secondly, the global distribution of dinosaurs means they couldn't have all died at once. The animals closest to the crash site were likely the first to die, be it from direct impact, blast waves, tsunamis, fireballs, and fallout. According to estimates, animals within a 500-mile radius likely died within half an hour of the impact. The dinosaurs that were further away were likely felled by delayed effects like the forest fires or lack of plant life due to fires and halted photosynthesis. While large body sizes were a huge factor behind several dinosaurs' success, they counted against them in the end. Any terrestrial animal larger than 55 pounds was wiped out, and residing in forests and near sea level altitude like most dinosaurs did was almost a certain death sentence. The best bet for survival was to live in marshy or swampy areas or at high altitudes, as these conditions were more suited to avoiding fireballs or being completely engulfed in sun-blocking gases. Being carnivorous would have been a slight advantage too. With forests dying, herbivores got weaker and more vulnerable, making them easier to hunt. With so many corpses lying about, scavengers would have had epic D-Day feasts for a time at least. So, just how long did the non-avian dinosaurs last? Well, estimates vary quite a bit. On the more conservative side, there are arguments that they lived on for anywhere between a couple of weeks to more than a decade. Proponents of this view argue that the lack of food and sun would have made a quick demise inevitable. Then there are more generous estimates that range between a century to several millennia. Those who hold this view believe dinosaurs were simply too tough and too widely distributed to just disappear within a day or even a couple of years. However, despite this, many proponents of this slower extinction theory do concede that great ecological change took place after the asteroid crash and the demise of many dinosaur species. Things like the rise of mammals and the desertification of areas once teeming with vegetation certainly made it tough on the remaining dinosaurs, but would still need a long time to get rid of them completely. With that, we've come to the end of the video. Thanks a lot for watching until the end, and we hope you enjoyed it and learned a couple of things too. Please make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and ding the bell icon so you never miss a new upload. Let us know your thoughts and feelings in the comments below. When do you think the last dinosaur died? All that's left is to say thanks again and keep it locked onto your favorite animal channel.